Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy podcast. This show originally aired on the Premiere Network Saturday, Groundhog Day, February 2nd, 2019. Good news, I saw my shadow. Or is that bad news? I can never remember. This is episode 1562. Enjoy. The Tech Guy podcast is brought to you by Simply Safe. Protect your home and family with an A-plus home security system. Visit simplysafe.com/twit for free shipping on any system order. And watch for the Simply Safe ad on the big game Sunday. And by DigitalOcean, the simplest cloud platform for developers and teams. Deploy, manage, and scale cloud applications faster and more efficiently with DigitalOcean. Sign up today and receive a free $100 credit at do.co/twit. And by Carbonite, the premier data protection platform for business with customizable cloud and hybrid backup for your servers. To learn more, visit carbonite.com. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Yeah, time to talk computers and the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got smartphones, we got smart watches, we got augmented reality. We're going to talk about smart cars in a little bit. We're going to talk about home theater. Actually, smart cars is tomorrow, isn't it? Anyway, we'll talk about smart cars just without our expert. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. 888-827-5536. That's toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. You can call that number from outside that area. It'd still be toll free, but you have to use something like Skype out to reach us. 8888 Ask Leo. The website, techguylabs.com. That's free, open to all, no subscription required, no sign-up required. And I mentioned that because if you hear something on the show and you want to, I want to remember that, don't worry about writing it down. Just remember techguylabs.com because we'll put everything right there. techguylabs.com. Let's see what happened this week in tech. We're still a lot of folding phones. I thought this was interesting. Energizer, the battery people, have contracted with the French phone manufacturer, and they're going to announce, in about a month, Mobile World Congress takes place in Barcelona, Spain, and it's the big mobile show of the year, February 25th. And in fact, that's why on February 20th, a few days earlier, Samsung's expected to announce the Galaxy S10, S10 Plus, and apparently this new folding phone that they've been talking about. Folding's all the rage. But is folding what you really want in a phone, a screen that folds in half? Apparently Energizer says it's going to make one. It's going to announce a bunch of new phones, 26 of them. Energizer, yeah, the bunny, the battery, Energizer. 26 new phones at Mobile World Congress. One of them will be foldable. I think you're going to see a lot of phones with foldable displays. There's already one kind of silly one called the Royole that is more, I think more because they're the first that it's getting the attention, not because anybody would want it. It's awfully expensive. The Royole Flex Pi. Energizer's going to do something. And then Energizer also announced, I think something maybe people want more than a folding phone is a phone with massive battery life, right? Right now, I think the battery life champion is the iPhone XR. That's pretty amazing battery life, but it's nothing compared to what Energizer is a battery company. So, of course, the XR, and I think the biggest Samsung phones have something like a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. That's how you measure batteries, in the milliamp hours, mAh. Energizer says they're going to do a phone with 18,000 milliamp hours. 18,000. More than 4 times the size of a Note 9 battery. That sounds like it'd last all week, but how big is that thing going to be? They're also going to do a flagship phone with pop-up cameras. Oh, get ready because the silly season's about to start. This is the problem. The real problem. Apple's facing it. Samsung's facing it. Globally, smartphone sales are down something like 10%. And the reason is there's nothing new under the sun, and that's why you're going to start seeing the silly season. This has happened before in other technologies where you'd start doing crazy things to get people to buy new ones. HP last year announced a leather-bound, well, it's not even fair to say leather-bound, a leather laptop. Because it's not aluminum, it's leather, the folio. It's leather. Despite the fact that the cooling characteristics of leather aren't great. I think it's an insulator. Anyway, it's tempting because it's sexy, but it's also, I think, the silly season, right? It's just whatever. Let's try stuff. What is the old phrase? We'll throw spaghetti against the wall and see what sticks. And so that's what you're going to see. You're going to see folding screens. Now that's all because, not because customers demand it, not because anybody walked up into a phone store and said, I'd buy a new phone if only it could fold. Nobody's saying that. They're doing it because they discovered they can make OLED screens, these AMOLED, Super AMOLED screens. They can make them in like fabric that they can fold. They said, well, if we could do it, we should do it. So they're doing it. We'll see if anybody wants it. I guess the theory is you could have a tablet-sized screen in your pocket. Whatevs. You're going to see phones with all kinds of crazy camera configurations. There was a rumor Apple's new iPhone next year, or I guess it's this year now, isn't it? The 2019 version will have 3 cameras. They put 2 on last year, and that wasn't enough. 3 cameras. It's all just because they say, please, come buy phones. Please, you want one. Please buy one now. What do we really want? I mean, Apple seems to think we want thinner over anything else, right? Thinner. But, honestly, they can't get much thinner. And they sacrificed a lot to get thinner. They sacrificed battery life, for one thing, to get thinner. I think battery life's something people want to some point. I kind of miss the headphone jack. Maybe that's just me. What do you want in a smartphone? More power? Already we have more power than the software you can use. How about more privacy? Apple spanked Facebook and Google this week over privacy. Facebook and Google, like other big companies, have something called an enterprise certificate with iOS. That means, and you may even work for a company that has such a thing. Do you have apps for your company that are specific to your company that other people can't have, like employees only? Google has one called Giz Wiz that tells you when the Google bus is about to arrive. But apparently, Google also created an app called ScreenWise Meter. Facebook did something really similar. The idea was to sign up people, telling them, what they were up to. You need a special code, a special registration, and of course, you have to use this enterprise certificate, so you have to install a new certificate. That means, not everybody can install this app. It's not in the App Store. What Google was doing with this app, ScreenWise Meter, basically is collecting every possible bit of information about users. It's for testing, right? You earn gift cards, so they pay you for installing it. And it allows Google and it says explicitly to monitor and analyze your traffic and your data. Google says, we should never have done that. We should never have done that. So sorry, Apple, because Apple figured it out. I don't know why they didn't know. Last week, they finally cottoned to the whole thing and canceled the enterprise certificate, which meant the Google Bus app didn't work. Giz Wiz stopped working, among other things. Facebook, same thing. Facebook had a special VPN app that would allow them to see what you were doing with your phone. But again, you had to sign up. It was a big deal. You couldn't, you had to give permission. It wasn't like they snuck that in on you. Apple didn't like that. They also broke Facebook's internal applications. Facebook says now that Apple has restored access. I'm sure Google will get its back too. Probably already have by the time you hear this, like right now. Internal employee applications are working once again. Thank you, Apple, you jerks. I don't blame Apple. That's kind of a misuse of the whole idea of a company-specific program. I don't blame Apple there. Hey, let's take a break. I'd like to take some calls. 8888 Ask Leo. We could talk about what you are looking for in your next smartphone, what the companies can do to get you back to buying. You slacker, you're not buying enough new phones and computers. Tell them what you need so they can figure it out. We'll also talk about anything else on your mind, including privacy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. Scott Wilkins. Is Scott on this week? I thought he said he was going to take the week off. Well, if he is, he'll be on in about 10 minutes talking home theater. Stay right here. He's not here. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Kim Schaffer, the phone angel. Does this mean that your bones are held together with mortar and that you are composed of compressed Adobe? Is that what this means?
I guess so.
Okay, just checking.
Maybe I'll last a while if that's the case.
You will. When the wolf comes, you're the one that's not going to fall down.
Huff and puff.
Yeah, that's right. Hello, Kim Schaffer. Did you have a good week?
Well, not as good as yours, but yeah. It was
good. We went to, my wife and I, it was her birthday.
Yeah.
Big one, like you, big number.
Big one.
And one with a 0 at the end. And so I thought, well, I got to treat her nice. So we went to Las Vegas to see Lady Gaga.
It's awesome. I haven't seen her live, but I did get to meet her.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, at the radio station?
Yeah, when I worked for the CBS group when she was brand new. Nobody really, poker
Was she
face
still
or...
Stephanie Germanotta at the time?
No, she was Lady Gaga.
Yeah.
But,
was she wearing a dress made of steaks?
No. She did have an odd outfit on, but she did a little meet and greet. And,
yeah. I am a huge fan now, man. Call me a little monster. I am one of her critters. That was the best show I've seen. I've seen a lot of good shows. That was.
Yes.
So
I have her autograph. She signed to me, and she.
Can you read it? Or just
well, I don't. I don't exactly know what it says. It was hard to read, but so right after that, I followed her on Twitter, and she followed me back. I was like one of the first, and
she's a master of social media.
And I don't even tweet, but I was like, oh my God, Lady Gaga followed me.
I'm being followed by Gaga.
So that was pretty cool.
Well, I'm jealous.
Yeah.
I
would go see the
show. Go
see
her if you get a chance,
though.
yeah. Well, it's cool in Vegas, and I've seen a few shows of artists in residence. She's going to be there 2 years at the MGM Park.
Well, maybe I'll get a chance then.
Yeah. And what's cool about that is that means they spend lots of money on a fancy stage for her. Mm-hmm. And they can do stuff that a show that has to fit into a truck or 2 or 3 or 4 can't.
Right.
And so, she starts the show, she flies in. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And, just the effects, it was pretty incredible. Lots of costumes, lots of strange robotic devices. It's as much of a performance art as it is a music concert. It was wonderful.
Well, that's how Taylor Swift's was like that.
Yeah.
She was flying all over the stadium, too, and hers was a traveling. They had to have had about 40 or 50 big rigs.
Yeah. Pink did that, yeah. So you can do that. Faux Pas says... When her opening song is "She's a Steak House," she got Heinz 57 all over herself. No, that's not right. Hey, should I take a call?
Yeah, where is it? You've had a Disney Imagineer call you in the past.
Yes.
This is not the same one, but I do think this is a Disney Imagineer with some software questions.
Yet another Imagineer?
Yeah, I think so.
Well, here's a hint.
For Disney.
Lake Elsinore, California.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Hello, Joel. Thank you, Kim. Hello, Joel.
Hey, Leo. Yes, I actually am the Imagineer that has called in the past.
So what is an Imagineer?
Well, we help design, or we do design the attractions at the various parks. So I got to work on the virtual jungle cruise, for example, in Disney, Florida.
What a great job. What's your training? Are you an animator? Are you a designer? What is your background?
Right. Well, I came from the video game industry. I've been working in the video game industry for about 28 years.
Perfect.
So
Perfect.
In that industry, I got to work for a company called Angel Studios, and we got to work with the Imagineers under that company.
Fun.
And I've called in the past about trying to recreate one of the Haunted Mansion changing paintings, which you helped me with.
Oh, yeah. Did you? Did it work? Did you use like a Raspberry Pi?
It totally worked. And yes, we did. And it worked great.
Oh, that's so fun.
So I've got a bigger dilemma here. So let me tell you what I've got. And I'm really hoping that you can give me a good, solid recommendation on a laptop.
Okay.
So I'm a single father. I've got 3 kids, and I decided to make my own Netflix. So I came up with this idea called Friendlians, and we built an app. And I'm putting cartoons on there that I'm animating that teach children family values and life lessons.
Where can I get? Where are there? A lot of parents want this. Where can we get Friendlians?
Well, if it's on the App Store right now on iOS and Android, I pretty much funded the whole thing using my art and my fan base.
Oh, that's so cool. How do you spell it?
Well, it's actually in the Urban Dictionary now, that word. So you spell it. I know, it's crazy.
I don't know if that's an honor or not, but okay.
Well, yeah, I know, right? I didn't put it in there. Somebody put it in there. It's spelled friend, LINF.club, and that's our main website. And we're basically just trying to get kids excited about doing good things. So, teaching them how to combat bullying and getting them to feel good about who they are physically and mentally, taking care of the planet, all good things that parents want kids to learn. And I'm doing this all on an MSI laptop that I've had for about 7 years.
Wow.
Time
for a new laptop.
Geez, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
So it takes me about 2 days to render a 2-minute long animation using Maya. And so I'm really looking to upgrade, and I've got a budget of about $3,000, so I'm not going to skimp on this. Well, this is the only thing this is my main tool. So I'm looking for a really good solid laptop, and every laptop that I've had is burned out. Just the processing is so heavy. So the MSI one that I've had has been the only one that has been super stable. I absolutely love it. And I'm kind of thinking that was the way I was going to go. But I wanted to throw it out to you and your community to see what would be the right thing to do for Maya.
Well, I mean, my preference would be actually to get one of the MacBook Pros, one of the fast ones with the Vega 20 Radeon card in it. That's going to be pretty good for Maya, I would think. And
I'm kind of anti-Mac.
You're anti-Mac. Okay.
Well, coming from the video game industry, we never used Macs. It was always PC. So I'm kind of a PC guy, and
you really want it to be a laptop, not a desktop.
Yes, because I travel around, and I'm always sometimes working right out of Starbucks and whatever hotel I'm in. So
yeah. So Maya does work on a Mac. I mean, a lot of people use Maya on a Mac, right? I think
it does, but again, it's one of those things where I'm just kind of a little bit more loyal to the PC world, and I'm just so familiar with it. I'd have to re-change my thinking. It's just a totally different world for me.
Yeah. One of the things I like about the new Macs is the eGPU, the external GPU capability, but that doesn't. You can absolutely, I'm sure, do this on Windows 10 machines as well. So that would be one thing I would look for, because that way, if you were at your desk, you'd have a little bit more GPU, which would speed up your Maya rendering considerably. I'll tell you what, let's put this out to the fine chat room. Some people are saying Razer. Those are gaming laptops. And, of course, Razer makes its own eGPU, so that'd be the first place I'd look. That's it. That's a good question. I like it. Friendlians looks so cool. That's awesome. Glad we could give that a little plug. That's really a neat idea.
Thanks.
Yeah. So the Razer has an eGPU that you plug into the Thunderbolt 3 port, and so you wouldn't need to buy that now or at all. But if you decided, and this is one of the problems with a laptop, is usually those GPUs are not upgradable. That's probably the biggest problem with your MSI at this point. And you said they burn out, and that's another issue, of course, because there's a lot of heat in there. An external GPU would save some of that heat, would put some of that heat outside. Do you mind if it's not super portable?
I don't mind if it's super portable. I mean, ideally, I'd like to have something that's completely self-contained that I can take with me. I could put it in a bag, get it on an airplane. I could be rendering while I'm on the airplane.
Right.
Yeah. But the last thing I had was an HP, and it was so gosh darn heavy because it was built for speed. And I had to keep it cool all the time. This MSI is super powerful. I haven't had any problems with it. It doesn't, I haven't had any issues at all. It's just a little slow.
Yeah, they are making, it's interesting. They're making, that's really interesting. You can't get a 1080 MSI laptop, GeForce 1080 base, which would be the fastest card. Oh, yeah, no, they put that on the 8th generation. That's the GT63 Titan. That would be awfully fast. I wish they had the 2070s because does Maya do ray tracing? Is there ray tracing involved?
Absolutely. That's all that it does, ray tracing, and we use there's internal rendering programs that attach to it. But, yeah, it's definitely doing some heavy ray tracing.
So you might want to wait until there are laptops with the RTX 2070. Actually, there are. Oh, interesting. Because that has built-in hardware support for ray tracing, and that that I think is going to make a big difference for you. Now, I have to do some investigation because it may only be in gaming. I would go to the Maya support sites and see if Maya will take advantage of these new 2060s, 70s, and 80s. If it will, these are expensive. There are quite a few apparently laptops coming out this year that support it. That might be one to look for because hardware ray tracing is going to make a huge difference for you, I think, in Maya.
Right. Are we still on or off?
We're in the podcast. We're not on the radio.
Okay. Well, I'll let your podcasters know something that I've done that you as a tech guy will completely appreciate.
Okay.
What if I told you that my company has invented a technology that allows toys to talk to each other forever through a little $5 device the size of a pack of gum?
I want one of those. They have conversations with each other?
We could have 1 million toys doing a tiki room-like show every hour. Yeah, every hour forever.
So it's kind of a master control unit for all of them?
Yeah.
Wow. That sounds really cool.
It can control robotics, and we can basically interact with movies, television, games, and rides in real time. And it's basically Toy Story for real. Everything you'd see in the Tiki Room, we could do.
What's the company name, and when are you going to ship this thing? Hello? Did I lose you? Are you there? Don't leave me hanging, man. Don't leave me hanging. Did you mute? You muted, probably. Because the line's not dead. Oh. Man, that's a tease. You're a tease. They cut him off. They cut him off. The CIA heard this, and they cut him. There he goes. Now he's gone. Wow, I'm very interested. Can't help it. I was born this way. I'm a geek. What can I say? Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. Had some fun talking to Joel. One thing I mentioned off the air, Tim, that you might want to wait until laptops using the new Nvidia processor come out. Nvidia has announced this new RTX graphics unit. You know, nowadays in a computer, the CPU does the calculating for, the bread and butter stuff. But many computers, I would say almost all computers now, have a GPU, a graphics processing unit. Most computers you use day to day don't need much heavy-duty graphics. What's been driving this, of course, is gaming. But then there's a whole category of people who use software that can use the GPU for video, for photography, and as Joel for 3D modeling. He uses a program called Maya. And one of the techniques that the 3D modeling, 3D modeling is when you make something on a computer that looks like it's real, like it's 3D. Sometimes you can even rotate it, and it really looks real. And one of the techniques for this is wasn't widely used for a long time because it was so processor intensive, is called ray tracing. And the idea is, of course, anything in the 3D world has a light source, usually a single light source. So you see the shadows, what makes it look 3D. You see the shadows, if you're looking at somebody's eyes, there's little, shadows in the sockets and that kind of thing that makes it look 3D. That's what gives it the kind of the realism is a single light source, and you can manipulate the light source in these programs. But ray tracing draws the image by tracing the ray of light from the source to the object, and it draws many lines to draw the object. It's very processor intensive, and I remember when the first ray tracing programs came out a decade or so ago, it would take a day to generate this beautiful image, perfect photorealistic image, but it would take forever to do it. Well, now Nvidia is making a graphics processing unit that has ray tracing built in, has a bunch of other stuff too built in. And the initial use, of course, will be for games that are designed to take advantage of this GPU. But I'm wondering, and I don't know, if a program like Maya will take advantage of it. It's often the case that with these graphics processor units that they make a special version of the card for professional creators. There's one for gamers. They have to keep that fairly cheap, and although this RTX 2070 card is going to set you back $700 or $800 as much as many laptops. It's expensive, but they probably would. I will guess they'll make a pro version of it that's designed for creators like people who use Maya, like Joel. That's twice as much or 3 times as much. I don't know, but that's often the case. Somebody's telling me that After Effects does, which is a very popular graphics program, does take advantage of the RTX processors. Oh, that's interesting. I wonder, if Maya doesn't yet, I'm sure it will, especially if After Effects does. No Scott Wilkinson today. He's taking the week off. He's a big football guy. He can't wait to the Super Bowl. He likes to take the whole week. No, I'm just kidding. He's not a sporting aficionado, but he did give us, and if you didn't hear it, he did give us his recommendations for deals for Super Bowl Sunday. If you're out buying a TV today, I refer you back to the website in last week's episode, techguylabs.com, and episode 1560. And you can go to the Scott Wilkinson segment there, and here's the recommendations. You know what? I don't mind, because that gives me more time to talk to you. Like Joseph in Fresno, California. Hi, Joseph.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, welcome.
Hey, so I upgraded my phone to the Pixel 3. I left the iPhone 5S because, well, it was honestly getting long in tooth, and liked the Pixel a lot. A lot of things that I really enjoy about it, but one thing I miss is I miss having an audio port for listening to it, and I also like having a lightning port so I can charge while listening.
Right, yeah. So, by the way, if you'd bought a new iPhone, you'd have the same problem.
Exactly.
You'd have the lightning port, you'd be able to charge, but you wouldn't be able to listen and charge unless you got a special dongle. And there, that you can do the same thing. Now, one of the good things about the newer phones, and your phone didn't do this, but the newer phones do wireless charging.
The Pixel 3 does that, and I'm actually looking for a wireless charger so that I can just kind of lay it flat on my desk while I'm listening.
Yeah.
But when I look on Amazon or other places, a lot of them don't come. They say they don't come with the charger block to plug it into the wall outlet. They just come with a USB cable. And
I guess everybody figures you got plenty of charger blocks. Here's the other thing you're going to want to look for. Google makes this Pixel phone. I'm a Pixel 3 XL user. I love it. You're right. They had the same bout of courage. That's what Apple call it. Courage. And took out the headphone jack, which I think is not courage, but dumb. By the way, Samsung continues to make very good phones, including its top-of-the-line phones with a headphone jack, and all indications are they'll do that again this year when they announce the Galaxy S10. In any event, if you're going to continue to charge it and use the USB-C headphones that were provided with your Pixel 3, you're going to put it sideways on the charger. And so that means you want a charger that can do that. Not all of them can. I'll tell you what I use with the Pixel 3. It does not do the rapid charging. If you want to do the rapid charging, you're probably going to want to buy Google's own charging stand, which is kind of expensive. It's $80.
Yeah, I'm not looking for rapid charging. If I'm just sitting at the desk working, I don't
just leave it there.
have to top
Yeah, I'm leaving mine right now on the charger that I love the best. It's called the Tilt, and TYLT, and it's from let's see, no, actually Tilt's the company, and I hope they still make this. Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me, Tilt, because they used to make wireless chargers. Yeah, they still do. They make it basically is an easel. Mm-hmm. Oh, do they still make it? Oh, yes, they do. The View, and it's $30. The VU with an umlaut over it, so it's View. And what I like about it is it's an easel charger. It comes with a charging brick. You'll be happy to know. Mm-hmm. And it has dual coils, so it charges equally well if the phone is upright or sideways.
Okay.
So that's very good because you could plug the headphones in. Otherwise, the headphones would be impeded by the bottom of the easel. I like easel. Yeah. I like easel wireless chargers because the phone is in a natural position. It doesn't slide off of it, which it can on pad chargers. And also you can continue to use it. You can look at it. It's on an easel. It's kind of ready to use. So that's what I use on my. In fact, I'm looking at one right now. It's what I use on my desk for my Pixel 3. So highly recommend it. TYLT.com VU wireless charger, and at $30, I think it's a lot less than the Google. The Google has some other advantages. The Pixel 3 knows it's on the special Google charger, and we'll do a photo show just for you. And it fast charges and all of that stuff. But if you don't care about fast charge, I don't either, frankly. I don't. That doesn't bother me. If I'm charging a charge overnight. In fact, I have a View at home next to my bed and a View here at the office. I like them both. Now, of course, what Google wants and what Apple wants, and I guess what everybody wants, except me, is for you to stop using wired headphones and start using Bluetooth headphones. And they've gotten better. I have to say they have gotten better. I am particularly a fan of the Jabra, Jabra wireless headphones. I use Apple's AirPods. Okay, they're okay. They fall out of your ear. I like the Jabras a lot. Google has stopped making, I think, the Pixel Buds. They made those a couple of years ago, but there's a rumor they might do something new, a second-generation Pixel Buds coming soon. Fortunately, very nice wired headphones do come with the Pixel 3. That's, I think, a very good choice for somebody who's been living in the iPhone world and wants to try something with Android. It's the most pure of the Android phones. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this. TYLT.com. I'll put this. You know what I'll do? What am I thinking? I'll put a link in the show notes just for you. So actually what I'll do is I'll put it in the chat room, and then James can put it in the show notes just for you. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. The phone number 888-827-5536 if you want to talk high tech. Jim in Tallahassee, you're next. Hello, Jim.
Hey.
Hey.
I'm another one of them people that want some software suggestions.
Okay.
Now, I remember using something, but I've had a major brain fart in the interim.
That sounds so painful.
Well, it is, especially when you're trying to remember something you want to find again.
I know the feeling exactly. That's why I have externalized my gray matter, my brain cells, to our chat room. And because I can never remember anything, and I bet you I won't be able to remember what you're talking about, but I'll ask the chat room, and they'll know because they have it all stored there in their hive mind. So what is it you're looking for?
Well, what I'm looking for is I've got a bunch of photos that I'm trying to sort, categorize, et cetera, et cetera. And I remember using something from way back in ancient history, the days of Windows 3.1.
Oh, Lord. Now you are challenging me. All right.
But anyway, it was a photo program.
Yeah.
It had like 3 windows. The left-hand side was like a the folder structure, so you could do and then the center was a very large.
I know what you could stop right there. There's two possibilities. I think you're talking about Irfan View. Does that ring a bell? IRFANVIEW?
Doesn't sound familiar.
That's still out there and still made. So go to irfanview.com. Irfan is a guy, and it's been around since 1996. So you could very well have used it on your Win. The other possibility, very similar, is ACDC. That was mostly used for converting formats.
What I liked about this is the right-hand pane gave you thumbnails.
Yeah.
So if you had like 6 or 7 photos that were very similar, you could simply tag all of them and drag them to whatever folder you were trying to sort the similar subject matter to.
Yeah. Given the age that you're talking about, Windows 3, I'm pretty sure it's going to be Irfan View. Now, Irfan View has evolved, as we all have over the years. But the good news is still out, and it's still free to download. Irfan is pretty amazing. It's a very fast program that will quickly allow you to go through your photos and categorize them. So that's one I would look at. The other one is ACDC, which is ACDSEE.com, and they still make that too.
Yeah, I think I've got that one.
Yeah, that's more. I use that more for conversion. Irfan View I use more for exactly what you're talking about. Somebody is in the chat room again. My brain is saying you should maybe look at NeoFinder.
Okay,
that's a cataloging program. So it might be what you're looking for, because it is in fact 3 panes. The left pane is file name, the middle pane is thumbnails, and the right pane allows you to categorize it. It used to be called CD Finder, and that will betray its origins as a way of categorizing CDs. But you can use it for photos. So, and that's still around, and that's been around for, get ready, 23 years. So. Also from around 1996.
I've been around for a lot longer than that. And the next question I had, I have tried using some of the free versions to categorize Exif data, and none of it. I was going to wonder if you had a good suggestion. I mean, I'll even pay for it. But something that would allow me to, because some of the Exif data you can go and put a description and other critical information.
Yeah, I think Irfan View does in fact do that as well. Or, well, let me put it this way. I think they have an Exif plugin. There's a lot of plugins for Irfan View. I'm pretty sure you can look at the Exif data in Irfan View. So I would start with that, IRFANVIEW. This is one of those programs that was legendary in the Windows days. There are a handful of them. Midnight Commander, Irfan View, ACDC is certainly one of them. Maybe NeoFinder is one you're looking for. Anyway, those 3 good choices there. The nice thing about Irfan View, it's free. And I believe it will let you, I'm almost certain it will let you edit the extended information. That's what the Exif data is, EXIF, extended information. Now, there are, in fact, very powerful Exif editors, and I use something called Fast Raw Viewer that will allow me to do that. And there are quite a few of them. If you search for Exif editors, you'll find quite a few things. The reason I use Fast Raw Viewer is because Lightroom, which is the program I use to edit my photos, is so dog slow when it comes to going through them. I want to do something similar to you. I want to go through them. In my case, I want to not merely categorize them, but I want to throw out the bad ones. So I use Fast Raw Viewer. It's at fastrawviewer.com to run through these. It also will let you, you don't have to be using RAW. It'll work with JPEGs. But it lets you run through very quickly through your photo collection and categorize it and name it. It might be another good one. That one's not free, Mac and Windows. And I really like that because it can save me a lot of time categorizing my photos. Mick says you can view Exif data in IrfanView. Can you edit it, though, Mick? That's what he wants to do. He wants to be able to modify it. I'm pretty sure you can do that. Somebody else, Rocket88 in the chat room, aptly named, wants taking a trip down memory lane. He says, IrfanView's About Box has always said from day one, this copy of IrfanView is registered to you because it's free. Pretty neat. Pretty neat. I like that. If you have another thought, here's how you can participate in the home version of our show. You can call 8888 Ask Leo, get on the radio, and answer, if you want, answer Jim's question directly. You can also go into the chat room. I mention them all the time because they are my brain, and that is irc.twit.tv. You can go in a browser, although if you're an old-timer, you can use your IRC client. Ooh, Internet Relay Chat. That's been around since before the web. You can do that. And then finally, you can go to our website, techguylabs.com. That's free. That's open. There's no sign-up, but we have comments there, and you can always leave a comment. In fact, that's what those comments are for. If you think I'm saying something wrong or you want to add to the discussion or you've got a suggestion, I'll give you an example. Someone in our chat room said, he should try PhotoMe, the digital photo metadata editor. Oh, I've not seen this. PhotoMe.de means it's made in Germany, so it's got to be good. PhotoMe.de, that's another one to look at. It lets you go through your photos, organize them, and edit the Exif and IPTC data, which is the AP data as well. That's cool. So there's quite a few good choices in this particular realm. You can leave your comments at techguylabs.com. It's free, no sign up there. Now, let's take a little time out before we continue on with your calls. Our show today brought to you by our sponsor, great folks at Carbonite, who are doing the work of the angels in saving business data. I just saw the other day an insurer has told a company that went for an insurance claim because they lost all their data to a ransomware virus that no, the Petya virus is an act of war and not covered by their insurance. What? Cyber war? What? This is why your best insurance is to make sure you use Carbonite, the data protection platform for business. Yes, of course they offer scalable, secure backup solutions for local drives, servers, virtual machines. They also offer high availability backup, so you can get backup and running in seconds. They offer but the idea is it's a single vendor that has everything you need. Endpoint protection. If you've got laptops and smartphones, you want the remote wipe capability, the encryption that Carbonite offers. Combine Carbonite technologies, you'll build a comprehensive single vendor solution for your workloads, your risk tolerance, and your business objectives. And, of course, a secure, trusted provider with award-winning customer service 7 days a week. Learn more about Carbonite's data protection platform for business at carbonite.com. Isn't that a wild story? No, the internet was before, IRC was before the web, not the internet, Mick. Obviously, it wasn't before the internet. It's the Internet Relay Chat, but it was before the web. IRC's been around long before the web. The web's only since 1989. It's relatively new. Hey, let me talk about a podcast sponsor. Would you mind? Would you mind if I took a little time to tell you about the best way to protect your family? Simply Safe. This episode of The Tech Guy brought to you by Simply Safe. No one should feel unsafe at home, period. Fear has no place at home, and that's been Simply Safe's mission from day one. They're going to do a commercial on the Super Bowl, by the way. You gotta watch for that. I'm sorry, did I say Super Bowl? I mean the big game. Make sure you check it out. Simply Safe. This is the Simply Safe base unit. By the way, one of the things I love about this, first of all, let me tell you the reasons I love Simply Safe. You can install it yourself. It's very easy, and it's also portable. So if you move, if you're a renter and you want to take it with you, you can. It's easy. You put it up, you can take it down, put it up somewhere else. I love that. They've got all the sensors you need, glass break, motion, door opening, window opening. They've even got sensors for, pipe breaking, that kind of water sensors, that kind of thing. It all comes back to this base station, which cannot be destroyed with baseball bat, whatever, because they've got professional monitoring on the other end, and they will make sure police are on the way when you need them. The security sensors are small, attractive. They blend right in. You won't notice them. Don't just take my word for it. The Verge called SimpliSafe the best home security. Wirecutter gave it a top pick. 3 million SimpliSafe customers already know it feels good not to fear. It really does. And it's more affordable than anybody else. It's really great. Protect your home today. Free shipping on any system order. Here's what you do. You go to simplysafe.com/twit. Simplysafe.com/twit. Protect your home and family today. Simplysafe.com/twit. It's the simplest, easiest, most effective home security. No contracts, month to month, very affordable. Home security done right in a nutshell. Simplysafe.com/twit. And we thank them for their support of the Tech Guy podcast today. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater, digital photography. We got your smartphones. We got your smart watches. We got your questions, and I got your answers. 8888 Ask Leo is the phone number. The website, techguylabs.com. On we go with Tim in Costa Mesa. Hello, Tim.
Probably Tom.
Oh, Tom. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah.
Yep.
This is from beautiful, wet Costa Mesa. Say, I've got a Intel Nook desktop HTPC.
Yes.
And I just did a Windows 10 update, and now my screen takes 2 hours to come up.
Oh, jeez.
Instead of the usual 5 or 10 minutes.
It used to take 5 or 10 minutes?
No, it used to take 5 or 10 minutes.
It used to take 5. That's not acceptable, let alone.
Yes, I agree. Now it takes 2 hours.
So you're saying you turn the machine all the way off, then you press the on button on your NUC, and it takes a couple of hours before you get to be able to use Windows?
Well, Windows is up. I can see it with the flickering. The screen flickers, then comes on for 2 or 3 seconds, then goes blank.
Yeah.
I can see the Windows. I can even log into Windows with my password, but the screen goes blank.
Then it goes blank, and then nothing happens, and then in 2 hours it comes back?
No, I turn the screen off and turn it back on.
Yeah.
Then it goes through this anywhere from 10 to 50 times flickering.
Okay, it's a mess. It's a mess. So there's only really one question. Is this hardware or software? And if you call the company that manufactured it, they're going to say, oh, it's not hardware, so here's what we want you to do. Wipe your drive and reinstall Windows 10.
Well, I did that, and Intel doesn't support this particular NUC anymore. The only change is I did an update to Windows 10 about 2 weeks ago. And before that, it was the 5 to 10 minutes. Now it's the 2 hours.
Okay, well, 5 to 10 minutes isn't acceptable either. So if you wiped the drive and reinstalled Windows, is that what you're saying you did?
No, I did an update through.
No.
No, you call.
I'm talking. Yeah, no. I'm not talking an update. I'm saying you wiped the drive and you reinstall Windows. Is it Windows 10?
10, yes.
Yeah. If you wipe the drive and reinstall Windows and it's still happening, then you've eliminated software as part of the cause, and now it's a hardware issue, and that's what you don't want it to be. How old is it?
It's just a couple years.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, my first thought is maybe you've got a bad hard drive. It could be a bad video driver, but usually when something's really slow like that, it means it's trying to read the hard drive, trying to read the data in, and it gets enough success that it doesn't give up, but not enough success that it gets get her done. It just becomes a very slow machine as it reads and reads and reads. I'm trying to read it. So honestly, the first thing you got to do you have data on there that you want to save?
Well, I've got everything offline anyway.
Good.
But, like I said, Windows comes up okay. It's just the screen that doesn't come up. I can see Windows in the flickering, the brief flickering.
Yeah.
Well, and I've got a solid state drive, so I don't know.
When you say Windows comes up okay, what happens after 2 hours? The flickering stops?
No, then it comes up. It's it starts dim and gets brighter, but it comes up and stays up.
So after 2 hours, the flickering stops.
The other thing I noticed was the Windows Defender. I happened to see it once, and it was taking up 90% of the CPU cycles, and when it should be taking, 3 or 4%? So I was wondering if that had something to do with it. And the other thing is I've got a Dropbox application that I'm no longer using.
Yeah. So I'll try this one more time. You need to wipe the drive and reinstall Windows before you can go any farther because we don't know what's going on. And when you wipe the drive and reinstall Windows, you're doing one thing. Is there a damage to the software? Is it messed up? Or is this Dropbox application, or is there something messed up? And if there is something messed up in the software, reinstall. And I don't mean updating Windows. I mean literally, you get another machine if you have to. Go to you can Google this. Get it from Microsoft. Microsoft Windows Media Creation Tool. It'll actually put Windows 10 on a USB key. You need one 8 gigabytes or higher. You put it on Windows 10 on there. Actually, the truth is, on this machine, you probably have a Windows 10 partition, so you could do without doing this. You could simply hit the Windows key and type restore, and you'll get the reset this PC. And you want to do a full reset. You want to basically wipe it. In the recovery control panel, they give you a couple of levels. So if you felt like, well, maybe I could just fix it, you could try with reset this PC. If your PC isn't running well, says Microsoft, resetting it might help. So you could try that. Honestly, if that doesn't work, and there's 2 levels even of the reset. One is keeping your data, one erases your data. Since you have a backup, that's always the first question. Do you have a good backup? Since you have a good backup, if you wanted, you could erase everything and start over. Then there's also an advanced startup that will let you restore Windows from a system image and all of that stuff. And the idea here is what we really want to do, honestly, is format the drive. Just erase everything. Repartition it if you have to, format it, a thorough format if you can, if you've got the time, and put a clean version of Windows on there. And then see how that works. Now, there are some other things you could do to see, before you do that, just make sure, there's some obvious things. I'm going to assume you've tried it with a different monitor, you've tried a different monitor cable, that kind of thing. But assuming it's not your cable and it's not your monitor, Now we need to figure out, well, is it the video card? Is it the video driver? Is it software? Is it your hard drive? Those are all possibilities. And almost always, if you call Intel and say, look, this is what's happening, the first thing they're going to do is what I just told you, which is, okay, you have to reinstall Windows. And the reason is they want to eliminate all potential causes. Yeah, maybe that Dropbox app is misbehaving and taking over all your cycles. One thing I want to caution people about, people do this all the time. They look at the task manager and they go, oh my goodness, Program X is taking all my memory, or it's using up all my CPU. Modern computers are designed to do that. If nothing else is going on, why shouldn't Defender take up all your memory and use all 90% of your processor? You're not doing anything else. Why should it hang back? The question is, if you then launch Microsoft Word, if Defender doesn't give it up and say, oh, sorry, let me back off and only use 8%, then you got a problem. But it's normal, and people will often misdiagnose what they see in their task manager. It's normal for programs to use all the available resources. Why shouldn't they? Why should they run slower just because you might run another program? I would reinstall Windows, honestly. I would reinstall Windows because that's the only way to know. And if in the process you reformat the hard drive, do a thorough format of the hard drive, that might eliminate hard drive issues as well. If it's still happening, then the next thing to look at is your video card. Again, this is assuming that you've swapped out the monitor, swapped out the monitor cable. Make sure it's not one of those obvious causes. It doesn't sound like, honestly, Windows is operating properly because you can log in, but then it sits there and flickers for a while. Could be a bad monitor. That's why we want to swap it out. Could be a bad monitor cable. That's why we want to swap it out. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the phone number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Give me a ring. Let's talk high tech. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. You know, a handy tool, it might be worth making while your computer is working great. I was thinking for our last caller. When your computer's misbehaving, the very first question is, well, is it hardware or software? And as you know, with troubleshooting, we always do the simple, easy things like swap out the monitor and the cable first, just to make sure that's not the problem. But, you know, if your screen is flickering. But there is a very handy tool everybody should have, I would recommend, which is a USB, a bootable...
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Oh, I shouldn't say that. See, I turned on my Echo because I wanted her to sing to me, and now she's responding. And my Echo, foolishly, you know, normally it's the A word, A-L-E-X-A. Everybody's talking to me. But I changed it. You can do the A word, you can do Echo, or you can do computer, which is the worst possible word for an Amazon Echo sitting in a studio during the Tech Guy show, because I say that word all the time. So I'm just going to mute you now. We're done. Okay, we're done. What was I saying? Oh, create a USB rescue key. Used to be in the old days, we make a USB rescue CD, but now you get a USB drive. It'd be a good idea to maybe get a 4 gig drive. And then there are a number of different ways to do this. Actually, you could build your own. There's a good article, which I'll put in the show notes from How To Geek, on what to put on there. Things like antivirus checkers or virus scanners, boot checkers and stuff. But the real key thing on there is an operating system. You know, you can download and put Ubuntu on a USB key. Just that alone, because that's a great way to test for hardware issues. If you can boot up into the USB key and the computer runs normally, I know you don't want to run Linux, but just to see if the computer's working and the screen doesn't flicker and the mouse works and the keyboard works and everything, then you know it's not a hardware issue, it's a software issue. But if you start up your computer from a USB key with a Linux operating system or some other, or even Windows 10, some other operating system on there, and the same exact problem happens, well, then it's most likely a hardware issue with your computer, right? So there are boot CDs out there like Hiron's. There's a number of antivirus folks like Trend and Kaspersky make rescue disks. But if you Google a Windows 10 rescue disk, it's a good idea, I think, while your computer is operating properly, to make one. I have them lying all over the place. And that's a very handy diagnostic. Then you don't have to reinstall Windows, as I told our last caller to do, because you already have an operating system. You can just, now you usually have to go into the setup on your computer, you know, that thing that pops up before Windows does. Go into setup and say, hey, just this time, could you boot from the USB key just so I can see? And it'll boot up, it'll run. It takes slower, of course, because it's running off a USB key. Although nowadays, USB 3.1, that's pretty fast. You may not even seem slower. And then you can say, oh, look, the computer's working great. It's not a hardware issue. That's what you're hoping. Then you can reinstall Windows 10 and know that everything's going to work fine. 8888 Ask Leo on that NUC. Somebody's telling me if you hit F10, function key 10, during boot up, it'll let you choose the USB key to boot up. That's the easy way to do it. Don, Montana, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Don.
Good morning. How you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine. Say, you've given your periodic speech about the multi-layers of backup material. And
yes.
One thing I've never really heard is, where do the cloud-based things fit into that whole scenario? The Microsoft Cloud or Google Cloud, isn't that as good as the ones you sell?
Like Carbonite? Absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a difference. But so let me give you the you've heard it, so I won't bore you with the long 3-2-1 backup speech. But the gist of it is you'd like to have, ideally, at least 3 copies of your data, maybe the original and 2 backups. Those 2 backups should be on different kinds of media. Maybe one is local on a hard drive. and then at least one should be in the cloud, and that means off-site. And the whole point of that is, well, if the house burns down, you haven't lost everything. You've lost the hardware. You've even lost the local backups, but you still got a copy in the cloud. And there are lots of ways to do a cloud backup. If the most important thing you've got is photos, then using Google Photos or Flickr or one of the many places that will let you back up unlimited photos is actually that's a backup, sure. The problem with OneDrive and Google Drive as a backup solution, and this is actually true for Dropbox as well, is in all those cases, they will have a folder. There'll be a Dropbox folder that's the one they're synchronizing, or a Google Drive folder, or a OneDrive folder, and that's what's getting synchronized, not your documents folder, not all your data. So in order to make this useful, you'd have to put anything that you wanted to back up in that Dropbox folder or the Google Drive folder or the OneDrive folder. There's also an expense. In all three cases, they're more expensive than a company that specializes, like Carbonite, our sponsor, but there are others that do this, that specializes in this backup.
I don't feel I have all that much stuff to store, and I have all my files automatically going to OneDrive.
Yeah, that's fine, but remember, that's only backing up that OneDrive folder, right? You can't just arbitrarily say, well, you want you to back up my music and my photos, and it's all got to be in the OneDrive folder.
Okay, I've got them all in there.
Yeah, as long as that doesn't bother you, and the limit, size limit doesn't bother you, and certainly many people get a terabyte of OneDrive storage. I know I have that much, and that should be enough for most people. In fact, if you buy Microsoft Office, you get that terabyte for free. It's part of the deal.
Yeah, I've got that too.
Yeah, so then it is cheaper than absolutely cheaper than Carbonite. It's a little bit more manual. You have to pay attention to it. But absolutely. In fact, what I often do and is a kind of a multi-layered strategy. All my photos from all my phones go to Google Photos, as well as all the photos on my desktop. That's a separate place where all my photos exist, in addition to any backup I'm doing. Similarly, if you use Microsoft Office, you're already backing up all your Word documents, and your Excel spreadsheets are already going up to the OneDrive, unless you turn that off. So it's okay to do that, I think.
Okay.
Yep.
Related question, why can't you use a USB drive as a backup drive? You have to have a hard drive.
You totally can. You mean you're talking about one of these USB thumb drives?
Yeah, it says I cannot, you need a hard drive.
Who is it?
In order to do your backup on Windows 10.
Oh, the backup program on 10?
I can do backup files, but I can't do the system backup that I would leave in.
I'm not sure why not. I can tell you a couple of drawbacks to a thumb drive. Of course, capacity is one, but assuming you have a big enough thumb drive, I think the concern is reliability. Thumb drives are a form of solid-state media that is less reliable than a USB drive. Maybe that's the reason.
Okay.
It's the flash storage on there's eMMC flash storage, which is a SSD drive, and then there's an SSD drive using MLC or some other form of technology, which is, in my estimation, not as reliable. So maybe that's what Windows is saying. You shouldn't put it on a thumb drive because that, you could lose that. I don't have any problem with doing that as long as it's not your only backup, right? That's the whole point of having multiple media. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. He's been everywhere, man. He's breathing the mountain air, or maybe he's down by the beach, or most of all, he's up in a jet airplane. It's Johnny Jet, our travel guy, who lives to travel. Hello, Johnny.
Hello, Leo.
JohnnyJet.com. I just got back from Lost Wages.
Yeah, and I'm curious because I'm going in a week or two.
Where are you staying?
Well, we haven't decided yet, but I was looking at the MGM Park.
That's where we stayed. The Park MGM is nice. They took the Monte Carlo, rebuilt it. The top 3 floors are non-smoking. It's a New York chain called the Nomad runs it. And I liked it. It was really nice. Hardwood floors, Asian Oriental carpets, Persian carpets, beautiful photography and art on the walls. I mean, it's still a Vegas hotel. Room service takes an hour and a half. But these hotels are so big. But I love the city center location. I think that is a nice location. And yes, you asked me about Italy, which when I read about it, I thought, well, this is lame. This is just another food court with an Italian focus. Oh, no. It's like you're in Italy. I mean, they have a wine bar. They have a salumeria where you get these salamis and prosciutto and mozzarella and beautiful Italian thin crust pizza. It's very upscale. It's very nice. I liked Italy.
For sure. I love it in LA. I love it in New York City, in the Nomad section in New York City, which is, I assume, why they call it the top 3 floors Nomad.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
In Toronto and Chicago.
I didn't realize Italy was all over. Oh, okay.
Yeah, actually, and I think they have it in Rome, which I have not been
to. It's a clever idea because it isn't a food. It's not Sbarro. It's not a food court.
Oh, no.
It's upscale Italian food, but there's a pasta bar and there's all different
grocery store.
Yeah, there's grocery. The bread. Oh man.
Yeah. I'm already gaining weight just listening to you.
and of course the best part, and I love going to Vegas to see the shows, is Lady Gaga is in a 2-year residency at the park, and she just opened about 2 weeks ago. It's a great show. We saw the Enigma.
And I believe Cher is there too.
Cher's coming in next month. Yeah.
March, right? Well, my mother-in-law's birthday is coming up, and she's never been to Vegas, so we were going to take her to Vegas.
Oh man, what fun! Vegas has changed. It's gone through these phases because I've been going there for 30 years because of the trade shows,
right?
And it was kind of dumpy, down market, and then remember they wanted to become a family place,
right? Well, I'm bringing Jack.
And then they realized no one goes to Sin City to be a family vacation, so they changed their slogan to "What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas." Yeah. And they got a little more adult, little sexier, a little more fun, and there's great restaurants. I really had a good time. I've completely turned around. I used to say, "Oh, please don't make me go to Vegas," and now I love it. I want to go back.
Well, good, although it's looking kind of chilly there. But
nobody's outside. You can go for days and never step foot outside.
That's true. But not Monte Carlo, the MGM Park.
Yes.
Is it connected?
It's all connected. It's on that tramway, not the monorail. So
it's all the MGM properties.
It's all the MGM properties are connected.
Aria.
MGM seems to own almost the entire center of the Strip.
And you got your M Reward points.
We got the M Life card, baby.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good.
Yep.
Well, before we get started, there's some really good airfare deals that I have to mention.
Okay.
Because, I mean, it's insane to Australia right now. Virgin Australia from LA, $502 to Brisbane. From New York City to Sydney is $582 on American round trip. I mean, Qantas has a deal from Dallas to Auckland, New Zealand for $747. Although that's on an A380, by the way. That's one of the longest flights in the world. Dallas to Sydney is one of the longest. Wow. That's an A380.
Yeah.
So you're making a stop on this Qantas flight. You're probably making a stop in LA. But anyway, there's some really good deals everywhere. Tokyo, you can go New York to Tokyo, $650. If you want to travel, now is the time to start looking at some really good fares.
Is that because it's winter in the northern hemisphere and it's just like people aren't traveling as much?
That's one good reason, but it's a great time to go to Australia because it's
burning. It's a little hot down there. Yes.
Yeah, $545 round trip from Phoenix to Melbourne. I mean,
that's amazing. What? I love Australia. What a great country. Fun
in
to
Japan,
visit.
American Airlines is a really good deal to Tokyo, Japan. $650 round trip from New York, and LA is $525.
Wow.
So that's my plug to get people out and see the world. Because as I've said before, as corny as it sounds, I truly believe the more people that travel internationally, the less prejudices there will be in the world.
I just say, see the world now while it's still available.
Hey.
They may be closing soon, so go.
You never know.
Go before it closes. You'll be glad.
Yeah. So last week I mentioned my TSA app for going through security in the U.S. Well, one of your listeners or my readers sent me actually a tweet saying, there's a Canadian version, which is why I'm wearing my Canadian sweatshirt that my wife bought me a year ago, and I have never worn it till now.
Oh, Canada!
This is a good time to do it.
Yes.
But they have an equivalent, so it's called CATSA. So California TSA, basically, it stands for Canadian Air Transport Security Authority. So it's free on iOS and Android, and it's similar to The U.S. version, although I don't believe theirs are historical data, I think it's actually real live.
Wow.
What the actual wait times are. And they do a better job listing the airport. So I just put in Toronto, and it shows every checkpoint. You know, the My TSA one, it shows by the terminals, but it doesn't show by the checkpoint. So I really like that. And also, it just like the USA, the My TSA one, it shows you what you can bring. So and also, you know, helps you for people who are not used to cruising through security. I highly recommend checking out.
Is it actually called the Breeze Through Security mobile app?
Yes.
I love it.
It is called.
That's
it's called
very Canadian.
TSA Breeze Through Security app. So
cool.
I love it. But also, and if you are going to Canada, get Nexus, NEXUS, and you will really breeze through immigration. And then you can go through their equivalent to TSA Pre. It's $50 for 5 years, and then it will come with global entry and TSA Pre-check. So that's the secret. But the one downside is that you do need to go usually to a meeting. You have to have an interview, and it has to be in Canada, or it's usually right on the border, like Seattle, Buffalo,
or Niagara Falls.
Or Niagara Falls,
yeah.
and they do have that there.
Yeah,
and that's the one I did my interview with.
And you get to see the falls, ride the Maid of the Mist. It's great.
Right now I think they're frozen.
Are all the falls frozen? They might be from the polar vortex. Wow.
Yeah, and that's something to see when it's frozen like that. I think I've seen that once before.
I'm not tempted. I'll be honest with you. I'm going to stay right here in California. I'm not. It sounded so cold.
So we got how much time we got?
You got 90 minutes. Seconds.
90 minutes. Wow.
90 seconds. 90 seconds. I got 90 minutes. You get 90 seconds.
So, you know, the big game is this weekend.
Yes.
And ESPN recently came out with a big story. Actually, I'll have to tweet it because it's a long URL. But it says the best and worst stadium foods in North America for food safety. So it was an outside the line story, and it actually they did food safety inspections of all 111 North American pro sports venues.
How did Atlanta come out?
You know, I just looked that up, and it's actually hasn't been that
Not
wasn't
so
tested
hot,
because it's a brand new stadium.
Oh, okay.
So they did not test that one because this is I guess they did the study last year.
What's lurking in your stadium food?
And there's some of them I will not be eating it. I mean, one of the great things about traveling, when I travel, I love to go to a pro sports game.
Me too. That's one of my goals. When I retire, we want to hit all the NFL stadiums. I've been to many of the baseball stadiums. It would be really fun.
Yeah. I think I've been to 17 baseball stadiums.
Nice.
And I've been to the Super Bowl a couple times.
That's a really fun thing. We did that in New Orleans. That was so much fun. Johnny Jet, he's our traveling guy. Go to johnnyjet.com and don't eat the food there though, because those hot dogs have been boiling since April. But do get some travel tips, and of course Instagram and Twitter too. johnnyjet.com. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Wow. 28% had high-level violations. 28%. Oh, God. Okay, the three highest violations. Spectrum Center, that's Philly, right?
The Spectrum Center, I don't think is Philly.
Palace of Auburn Hills.
That's Detroit. That's got to be the Detroit.
And American Airlines Center. So
that's Miami.
Why don't they have the cities? Please, guys.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Actually, if you scroll down, I think they do show the cities.
Okay. Atlanta, Mercedes-Benz Stadium.
Charlotte, North Carolina is the Spectrum.
According
to Google.
Okay. Okay.
But yeah, they should be showing. The best are Houston, NRG Stadium, State Farm Arena, which I think is Nashville. I'm not sure on that one. And actually, no, I think State Farm's in Texas too.
Yikes.
But Oracle Arena is where you are.
Oracle Arena. I've had hot dogs there. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's the best.
Oh, thank God. You know, though, that doesn't count the guys just outside the parking lot that have put tin foil on a cookie sheet and have sternos under them, and they're cooking hot dogs wrapped in bacon and peppers and onions. I always get one of those. It's the best thing I ever had in my life. I'm sure it's deadly poison. But my feeling is if I continue to eat them, I will build an immunity Lisa this was a mistake. We got home after Lady Gaga, and because we went to Italy, and it's closed. So I said, let's just go to the room, we'll order something. She ordered hot wings at midnight. Big mistake.
Oh, man. Well, my travel tip on Street Meet or any of these hawker stands, if you go to Singapore, always, or even in the airport, always go to the one with the longest line.
That's right, because that if they were killing their clientele, they wouldn't have any lines.
And also, if you're in the airport, always go to the one that has the most flight attendants or pilots in it.
They know.
Because they know. They know better than anybody. Yep. And it's usually good and cheap.
There you go.
So there you go.
There you go. Mr. Canada, Johnny Jet, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888, ask Leo the phone number. Chat room's been having a lot of fun trying to fix that Intel NUC. You got all sorts of theories, all sorts of ideas. We'll try to capture that and put it up in the show notes there at techguylabs.com. If you want to join the conversation behind the scenes, irc.twit.tv. Arnold in New Jersey, thanks for being so very patient, Arnold. Thanks for hanging on. Leo Laporte here.
Hi, Leo. Thank you for taking my call. I have this big issue with Google Photos. I've been using Google Photos for a long time, and I no longer want to use it. And every time I delete a photo on Google Photos,
it comes back.
It's a hostage situation. I'm trying to, get the photos back to my phone or on my hard drive, but I can't.
So you're downloading the photos from Google Photo, right? There's a download. It's a pain. They don't want you to do it, so you have to go one by one. But you can download them. Are you saying that when you delete them, they pop back in?
No. What happens is once I delete the photo on Google Cloud thing, it deletes the in my phone.
Right.
So it's basically they tied. It's just like I don't know how to.
It deletes it on your phone in the Google Photos app. But so that's why, and this is a pain, but that's why you manually have to download them. See, if you could turn off sync in the Google Photos app. You could say, I don't want to sync.
I have done that already. So I no longer, the new photos are not going there. But how do I get the photos on...
you have to manually, one by one, download them, which is a real pain. And you won't be downloading them... Well, are you on an Android device or a Apple?
Apple.
Okay. So when you download them on an Apple device... And actually, it'll say, I think it might, I'll have to look on the Apple device. I'm not sure if it says download or save to device, but it will save it in the Apple photo roll, which once you turn off sync, Google Photos no longer has access to. So that'll allow you to save it without getting it, without deleting them. But the negative on that is you have to do it onesie-twosie, one by one. Jeez Louise. So you open the...
5,000 photos.
I know. They don't want you to do this. Yeah, it says, in fact, on Apple, I don't even know if you, you use the share sheet, and then you can save it directly to your phone, and that will get it out of Google Photos. I think their theory is, well, wait a minute, why'd you delete the originals? But you did. If you did, this is the only way to get them one by one, and it's not even you can select them and check them. I think you have to go open the photo up full screen. No, you can select them and check them. So you can check a bunch of them. I wouldn't do more than maybe 20 at a time. I don't know what the limit will be. And then on an iPhone, you do that with the share. You know that share icon? It's a box with an upward arrow. Yeah, that's what you use. On Android, you use the three-dot menu, but on an iPhone, you use the share menu. And you can save to files, and then it'll give you a choice of where you want to save it, and choose on my phone, and you can save it on your phone. Or you could save it to somewhere else, in fact, like Google.
The computer.
Yeah. So that's a real pain in the butt, and it's probably a cautionary tale for everybody using Google Photos. If you ever want to stop using Google Photos, it's a real pain to get it out.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
So keep your originals.
Yeah, but here's the deal, though. I kept the originals on the phone, And I did both. So original is on the phone, and it also syncs to Google Photos.
Yeah.
So in both places, the original photo.
If you kept it on an iPhone, it will be stored in Apple's Photos app, not Google's Photos app, and Google Photos should not delete them from there unless you
Oh, I see what you mean. Okay.
Yeah, there is unfortunately a feature in Google Photos called Free Up Space that says, in fact, I'm looking at it right now on my iPhone. Delete 1,333 items from device to free up space. They've been safely backed up to your Google account. If you do that, That's an interesting question. Does it delete it from Apple's? It shouldn't. I don't think it should delete it from your photo roll. Your Apple photos.
How do I go about checking? I just go to.
So this is a little confusing, but there's Google Photos, which thankfully they've now named Google Photos. I think Apple probably said something. And there's Photos on an iPhone. Photos is the Apple app. See if they're in there. Unless you explicitly deleted them from the Apple app, you still have those original copies that Google backed up.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. And as far what about the Dropbox? Is it the same situation, or Dropbox?
No, it's not at all the same situation. With Dropbox, you can actually open the folder where those photos are stored and just copy it, just drag it all out. So no, it's much easier on Dropbox.
Dropbox. Okay.
Yeah, Google. Google kind of wants you to not keep your stuff there. Don't. Why would you ever? In fact, they even asked this in the chat room. Why would you ever want to leave Google Photos?
Well, I'll be honest to you. Because of the news.
Oh no, I don't blame you. I understand.
The privacy. Yeah,
I understand.
It's a matter of time. It's they will figure it out, And I will keep some of the photos there, but some of the photos I don't want to keep, So
right.
I don't want to part my ways with Google altogether, but I'd like to be more. Unfortunately, I didn't do it at the beginning.
Those nude selfies you really don't want to put on Google Photos.
No, more of like a business.
Okay. Or pictures of your top secret prototype. Don't put those on Google Photos either. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah. No, I trust Google, I guess. But honestly, remember Google's business is in a thumbnail, in a nutshell, to collect everything they can possibly collect about you. The same as Facebook, by the way. In fact, Facebook got the idea from Google. Collect every bit of information they can possibly get about you, and then sell it to advertisers. Now, to be clear, they don't sell information about Arnold to the. They don't say, "Hey, Procter & Gamble, you want to know more about Arnold?" They don't ever say that. Facebook doesn't say it either. They say, "Would you like a bunch of guys named Arnold?" Because you can buy an ad. You literally can buy an ad that only goes to people named Arnold, or only goes to people in New Jersey, or only goes to you understand that. But that they say, well, that's not revealing any information about you. It's just an advertiser can buy ads against that demographic is the term they use. And I guess I don't have a problem with that. There are some people a little more worried about, particularly Facebook. I don't worry so much about Google doing this, although they could. But we know already Facebook has manipulated people with the news feed. A couple of years ago, they did some psychological studies where they used the news feed to see if they could get people happy or sad. They tweaked your news feed to see if it would change how you relate. And that is maybe a step too far. That's the real fear there's two fears. In the long run, the real fear is that these companies will start, instead of just selling what they know about us in aggregate to advertisers. I think that's fairly harmless, right? Because they're not selling information about you individually. But that they might go to the next step where they start predicting your behavior and trying to modify it. What if, they know enough about you to kind of maybe say, hey, we know he's a Pepsi drinker, but Coke has paid us a lot of money to get all these people who drink Pepsi to start drinking Coke. What if they start manipulating you like that? Would that be okay with you? That'd kind of bug me. So I understand. People are moving away from these big data gathering entities. I guess I understand. I don't blame you. Our show today, our podcast today, brought to you by DigitalOcean. Oh, man. DigitalOcean is changing the world by making it really easy to spin up a server, a cloud application. If you're a developer, if you're learning. See, for me, it's great. I'm trying to learn Node.js. All I have to do is go to do.co/twit. And so I actually already have an account. And start using DigitalOcean. You can literally in a minute, in fact, I should show you this. It's so fun. You can literally spin up a server in a minute running a variety of different things, not just Node.js. I mean, just any version of Ubuntu you want. They also have Docker and Kubernetes, so you can run containers. In the early days of Twit, we have websites, we have content, and we were serving. And I was doing this all myself, and I was buying servers, big company in Texas. They're now owned by IBM. I won't name the name, but I spent a lot of money. And, you would call them and you'd say, I'd like to get a server up and running. And they say, okay, we'll get back to you in a week. We got to provision it. DigitalOcean, you can provision it instantly. Here's my DigitalOcean account. Look at that. I've got 2 different instances running, 47 cents. I love it. They've got load balancing. They've got DNS. They've got all the features you'd want. Cloud firewalls, a 99.99% uptime SLA, full DNS management, 12 global data centers. I'll show you how easy it is. So let me create, they call them droplets. Get it? A drop in the ocean. I'm going to create a droplet, a cloud server. What do I want to do today? So I could choose the operating systems, Ubuntu, FreeBSD, Fedora, Debian, or CentOS, or container distributions, or I like this one-click apps. So let's say I want to run a GitLab instance because I need Git, right? I want to run a GitLab instance. I say how much I'm willing to pay. I can pay as little as $5 a month, $0.007 an hour, which is, what is that, 0.7 cents an hour. There's CPU optimization. You can have backups for $1 a month. Actually, I'm going to turn on the backups. Backups enabled. Choose your data center. I like San Francisco too. I always use my SSH key to log in, which is really nice. I can choose a host name. My Leo's GitLab. I don't think I put a. And then create. Now, this is so cool. I am now provisioning a Git server for myself. I'll have access to it. It's got a public IP address. There's an API, an easy-to-use control panel. It's just awesome. This is transformed business because if you're a developer and you want to put up a minimum viable application, maybe program, you're trying to maybe raise money, or maybe you're ready, you think you've got a great app, you put it up, you can scale it up, you can add after the fact storage, security, monitoring, CPUs. You get to choose. 55 seconds or less, and these are, by the way, enterprise-grade SSDs. That's one of the reasons it's so fast. You will have a server up and running. Look at my GitLab instance is running at 138.68.8.178. Look at that. I got a gigabyte of RAM, 256 gig storage. It's running in SFO2. I can log in. I can get console access. I can add a domain to it. Let's just log in. It's so awesome. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, okay, maybe this isn't for you. But there it is. I am now on, it's Ubuntu 18.04 running GitLab. That was how easy it was. I did it while I was talking. DigitalOcean. Join over 150,000 businesses, including some of the world's fastest growing startups who rely on DigitalOcean to remove infrastructure friction. Man, and there was a lot of, I remember Kevin Rose when he first started Dig, he had to find a colo, buy a server, go install the server, go set it up before he could even have Dig running. He could do it in 55 seconds now for nothing. Deliver industry-leading price performance. Sign up today. You'll get a free $100 credit. Now, how do you like it? do.co/twit. That's do.co/twit for a free $100 credit. That's going to last you a while. I only spent 47 cents this month. Well, I guess it is. It's only the second of the month. I think it was $8 last month. do.co/twit. We love DigitalOcean. Love it. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, home theater. We talk about digital photography. We talk about smartphones. We talk about smart watches, all that jazz at 8888 Ask Leo. This is your chance. Your chance once a week or twice if you want, if you listen to both shows. I do too. To kind of just get, your questions answered, get your anger out in the tech industry, to talk about technology. We're all in this together. This is a show for people who use technology, who like it, some of you, and some of you hate it. I think anybody who uses it has a kind of love-hate relationship with technology, right? That's, it's hard to use it and not hate it sometimes. And then we're all getting together. We're all helping each other on the Tech Guy Show. TechGuyLabs.com is the website all week long. That's free. There's no charge to use it. No sign up at all. And, of course, every weekend right here at 8888 Ask Leo. We get together. We help each other. Gloria on the line from North Hollywood. Hello, Gloria.
Hi, Leo.
Hello, Gloria.
Brace yourself. I'm getting my first phone.
It seems like I've had this conversation with you before.
I think so.
You're finally going to do it, though, right?
Yes. Someone suggested that I go to a discount store like Walmart, so I went online, and I've seen a few of them. I'm wondering if you have any suggestions.
So, Walmart, I think the first thing you have to decide before you get a phone is who's going to provide the service. Walmart, when you get it at Walmart, Walmart has its own cell phone service called Straight Talk.
Right.
And when you go to Straight Talk, you can choose Straight Talk AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile. They resell service from different providers. Oh. And so that's not a bad choice, but you got to do a little homework, and you can do this online. You don't actually have to go into any store. But look at the prices. It's hard to know if it's your first smartphone. It's hard to know how much data you need. Mm-hmm. Most people, it's under 5 gigabytes a month for most people. Probably when you first start, 2 gigabytes, that's capital G, capital B, per month is sufficient. You're definitely going to get, and I don't know if maybe there are plans where you don't get, but almost all of them now get unlimited calling in the U.S. Mm-hmm. Remember the days when we had to pay long distance? Like if you called Los Angeles from San Francisco, it cost a lot of money. When the people answered, you'd say, I got to do this quick. It's costing me. Now it's free, right? You can call anywhere in the country for free. In fact, many plans, it's U.S. and Canada for free. And then they also offer inexpensive long distance outside, international long distance. And then you should also check what is it going to cost for text messaging, because actually that you may end up using more than anything else.
But don't they usually have, with most phones now, unlimited text and talk?
Almost always you're going to get unlimited text and talk, but not always, almost always. So definitely want to, keep that in mind. So those are the 3 things you're buying with a cell phone plan. Data, that's things like if you use WhatsApp or a messaging program, that's data. If you use a browser, that's data. Email, that's data. All that's data. Mm-hmm. Talking, obviously, that's on the phone. And then texting, even though in most cases these days text is data, they still don't charge it the same way. It doesn't charge against your data. So if you're using the texting app on the phone, the messaging app on the phone, whether it's Apple's messages or an Android messages, it's counting as text, not data. So those are the 3 different things. And for most people, unlimited text and voice plus about 2 gigabytes of data. So what you do is maybe start with that and see what the different plans, the different companies charge you. T-Mobile, Sprint, AT&T, Verizon, Straight Talk, and there's other ones. There's Cricket. A lot of companies have these secondary labels where they charge less, but often you give up something, like you don't get as much data, things like that. Mm-hmm. So I would shop around on the plans. You might also look at the contracts. Is it month to month? There are phones, they call them Go phones, where you pay ahead of time. You prepay the phone. But most standard cell phone plans, you pay after the fact. They bill you at the end of the month.
Oh, yeah, because this one, it says, I'm looking online, it says Straight Talk Samsung Galaxy J. This is on the Walmart website. Right. J7 Crown prepaid smartphone.
Prepaid means you pay ahead of time. The nice thing about that is no credit app, or at least a simpler credit requirements. It's really designed for young people who don't have credit. You pay ahead of time. And sometimes you'll get a better deal. But again, this is all very confusing. They don't want to make it easy to compare, right?
Right.
So it's all very confusing. One of the things with data that you have to find out is, well, if I go over the 2 gigabytes or whatever I choose, what does it cost me? Do you throttle? Do you slow me down past a certain point? What is that point? And you know, so a lot of them will say you can get unlimited plans. None of them are unlimited. They all have a point at which they just go slow, so slow they're not usable.
Oh.
So they're all limited. Again, it's your first smartphone. You're not going to use more than 2 gigabytes, most likely, unless you start doing a lot of, you know, video calling and you start using these features like crazy.
Yeah, I don't need all that crazy stuff. I'm just getting it because my family keeps pushing me. You have to have one. You have to have one.
Now, one of the things to watch out for, they're bundling a phone in. Walmart is. That's not a great phone. That honestly, for your first smartphone, I know it's going to cost more. You probably should get an iPhone.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only because they're simpler. They're certainly more secure. They're more private. They do cost more. But Apple is selling older iPhones, a 6S or a 7 or an 8. You can get the older iPhones, and usually they're not terribly expensive. But don't be fooled by the bundled phone, because often that free phone they give you isn't very good, like the Samsung J phones. Those aren't great.
Okay.
I like the iPhone. You can, and there's certainly straight talk plans with the iPhone. So I'd look at that. Remember, you'll pay a little bit more because it's a more expensive phone. But the difference is it's going to be easier for you.
Okay.
And you're more likely to use it. What good is a phone that didn't cost you anything, but it's too hard to use?
Right. Also, do people usually get, it says here online, it says Walmart, well, forget about Walmart, but it says protection plan. Do people usually get a protection plan?
Well, if you're a teenager, I would.
Yeah.
It depends on how dropsy you are.
See, but that's the thing. Like, I'm just getting it because my family is nudging me. I probably won't even take it out of the house.
As long as you keep it in the house or you keep it in your purse, you're probably all right. The thing to remember, these things are mostly made of glass and they're slippery. So it's kind of like a recipe for disaster. Most people do crack their phones. So the problem with protection plans is often they don't replace a broken phone due to accidental damage. So you really want to read the fine print. What do I get for that money?
Okay.
Sometimes it's just extending the warranty. I don't do that.
So just go to the big brand name. Or you said an iPhone, but
I would stick with an iPhone. But if you really don't want to get an iPhone, fine. But whatever phone you get, make sure that you get at least 32 gigabytes of storage. They do make phones with less. That J phone is probably 16. That's not going to be enough for you to put stuff on there and use it. You're going to, and you know, if you get an iPhone, you're getting a better camera.
Oh.
And believe it or not, for most people, this isn't a phone, it's a camera that happens to be able to make phone calls and text.
So if I'm going to look for something, like you said, years that are years older, a little bit older than the newest phones, am I looking for refurbished or just iPhone?
If it's refurbished by the manufacturer, that's fine. Apple sells refurbed iPhones. They're not huge savings, but because it's by the manufacturer and it's got the manufacturer's warranty, that's fine. Do not buy a third-party refurbished phone.
Right.
At least not for your first one. We want you to have a good experience so you'll come back.
Right.
One of us. One of us.
With those that aren't the latest.
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, it really comes down to money. You know, I always use the latest and greatest, but that's my job. Mm-hmm. That's the story I tell anyway.
Okay.
I like having the latest stuff. Yeah, I think if you got a iPhone 7 or 8, you'd be very happy.
Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much.
You're
I don't know what
welcome.
I'd do without you.
Oh, I hope you finally buy one. I think you're going to be glad, Gloria. You're going to find all sorts of uses. You're going to love it. One of us. One of us. Our show today brought to you by Carbonite. Then you can call me and say, where'd my photos go? What happened? I just got a virus. You'll be part of the geek crowd. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls still to come. 8888 Ask Leo's my phone number. The website, techguylabs.com. And we'll go back to the phones right after this. Woohoo! Rock and roll. Thanks to Damien Big Pee Wee, our musical director. rocking us out today. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Thanks also to Kim Schaffer, the phone angel, providing us with the grist for the Tech Guy Mill, a.k.a. your calls. Matt in Ventura County, California. Hello, Matt.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What can I do for you?
I have purchased an Orbi, and I was hoping that you could tell me that it's going to be very, very easy to install.
It is. Orbi is Netgear's mesh router solution, and I really like the Orbis. Yeah, I'm a fan, and I did have to install it for my neighbor, but he had an unusual network situation, so I gave him my old Orbi, because I can only use so many mesh routers at a time. But I think the Orbi's good. The Orbi's chief advantage is it's the fastest mesh out there, and in my opinion, and I think many tests also say this. But it has another advantage, which I like. It's one of the only ones, if not the only one, that makes an outdoor extension. So if you have an outdoor area that you want to wire,
so that's primarily the reason I've got a company coming out because I'm in Southern California. The city is basically paying for an electronic ratio system to
for watering
the sprinklers.
Yeah,
so they're going to pay for two very high end systems, and they are it's a very large lot. These boxes are at extreme ends of the lot, and I've got to have coverage for that.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you could actually put an Orbi out there. It uses the app to help place those base units. Yeah, once you set it up, you forget it. I mean, it really the only issue is at the very beginning. So you'll plug in the main Orbi, will plug into your router.
Okay.
Or cable modem or whatever it is that you have connected to the outside world. And then you'll then add the additional units. If it's just one or it's several. It is a little tricky in placement. What'll happen with the Orbi is when you place the second unit, the light will blink. It'll take a minute or two for it to get in, and it'll let you know. It'll give you a green light if it can see the base unit and it's got a good connection. And if it doesn't, you'll reposition it. It takes maybe a little effort to do that. It doesn't take that long. I really, the other reason to like the Orbi over some of the others is Eero, which is one of our sponsors, but also the one I use at home, and Plume, which is another one I use at home, both have a strong cloud component. You actually have, with Plume, you're required to sign up for a yearly subscription. Eero makes it optional, but certainly encourages you to do so. The Orbi doesn't have any of that.
Like it.
So, yeah, I think there's a lot of reason to like it. I've been very happy, and Netgear has upgraded these Orbis. In fact, I've been meaning to get the newer Orbis to try them out because I was very impressed with the first generation. I think they're probably even getting better. Netgear's a good company. They make great gear, and this is, I think, a very good choice. I note that the wire cutter, I often refer people to the wire cutter, which is a really good, reliable tech review site. It's owned by the New York Times, has chosen the Orbi as their pick for the best mesh router. So they said among the best throughput and range of the kits we tested. So I think you made a good choice. And yeah, it's the only one that has that outdoor component. So that'll be the tricky one to place because it has to be near power, obviously. It'll probably need line of sight or something like it. This is one thing people don't understand about Wi-Fi because it's not widely publicized and it isn't always a requirement, but it works best if the base station and the unit you're connecting to it can literally see each other. Their line of sight. There's nothing in between them. Now, it can go through walls, but some walls better than other. Drywall, no problem. But if there's any metal in the wall at all, that can impede it, slow it down, or even stop it. So you don't know exactly what's going to happen. And as anybody who works with radio frequencies, like the chief engineers at all our stations know this, it's kind of voodoo. So anytime you're working with routers, wireless access points, just play with it. You know, a little twist here, a little turn there, and it can be 100% faster. So just play with it. I'm actually a big fan. I think you got the right router. And, of course, given what you need, which is Ratio's interesting. It's a Wi-Fi-enabled Internet of Things sprinkler system. So it's great that they're putting that in. It's fairly expensive. I'm glad that you're getting that for free, and it's probably worth it getting that Orbi out there so you can connect with it. It does things like the Ratio looks at the weather forecast and decides, oh, it's raining. Right now, it's I'm not going to water. It's raining. Rick is on the line from Weeki Wachee, Florida. Hello, Rick.
Yay!
Yay! Thank you for hanging on.
I hope this is your area of expertise. I'm trying to cut my cable expense, and there's a device that I keep getting pop-up ads on my tablet.
That's a bad sign right there.
Yeah, I know.
I'll tell you right there, it's a bad sign.
I'm calling you. It's called Live Wave Antenna. Apparently, it's a device you plug into an electrical outlet. Electrical outlet in your house, and it makes all your wires an antenna. And you're supposed to pick up 900 free high-definition TV stations.
All right, no. Stop right there. Maybe it can make an antenna. In fact, we know that can be a problem because at one point, the FCC was proposing something, this is about 15, 20 years ago, called Broadband Over Power Lines, BPL. The idea was to use power lines for Wi-Fi to give people internet access over the power lines. And ham radio operators were up in arms saying that's going to jam our signals. You can absolutely turn the grid into an antenna. It's the free high-def channels that I'm not crazy about. I can guarantee you they're not the channels you think they are. Unless they're pirate operation, which they're not, what you're getting is Croatian Soccer League games and curling results from the Yukon territories. You're getting stuff that's already streaming on the internet and is cheap or free. It's not even cheap. It's free. It's free. You could get it yourself with your browser and your internet access. All they're doing is putting it all together. And so, in general, these free satellite connections, no. It's not the real deal. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're going to take a little break, come back with more of your calls right after this. Nothing wrong with curling from the Yukon. I haven't reviewed the antenna, but there's going to be all sorts of issues with that as well. But the fact that they're trying to sell you this HDTV is the real issue. It's bogus. Oh, that's right. We do this once a year. We have a kind of general Twit survey so we can get to know you a little bit better. It helps us plan our programming. It also helps us when we're talking to advertisers and they say, well, who's listening? We don't at any point snoop on you. We take your privacy very seriously. So we don't track any of your usage. We don't know who you are, who downloads our shows. We do this once a year. So if you don't mind, if you would like to help us make better shows, in fact, the last question is about what subject matter you'd like us to cover on future programming on Twit. Just go to twit.to/survey19, our 2019 Twit survey. Shouldn't take you more than a few minutes. It's about, I don't know how many questions, a dozen questions, something like that. twit.to/survey19. Also, if you just go to our front page, I think there'll probably be a link there. 8888 Ask Leo. The Giz Wiz, Dick DeBartolo, our Gizmo Wizard, coming up in 15. Patrick on the line from Floral City, Florida. Hello, Patrick.
Hello, old friend.
How you doing, buddy?
Like a friend. I've never talked to you, but I've listened to you for years.
We're all geeks together. I feel like when I meet somebody who listens to the show, we have a connection because we love this stuff, right?
Oh, well, yeah.
And we suffer with this stuff together.
I'm going to ask you the simplest question of the day, and so you'll realize I'm not really
that will make me happy.
Computer nerd. It's a two-parter. I've got a Dell Inspiron. It's several years old. Do I have to change a battery in that sometime, like a little quarter?
Is it a laptop or a desktop?
Desktop.
Yeah, you nailed it. In fact, what you'll notice at some point is it'll forget what time and date it is. And a lot of things will stop working as a result, including your browsing. Your browser will say, "Oh, you can't go there. It's out of date." Because it turns out if you go to a website with certificates, if the certificates are out, expired, that's one problem. But if your computer says it's 1908 and the certificate's for 2018, it will also say, "Oh, so you can't go here." Okay. So you'll see that. That's common. It may forget what kind of hardware you have. It may not even be able to see the hard drives. All of that is backed up in a kind of semi-volatile part of memory called CMOS, complementary metal oxide silicon. And that's what that little, if you open up your machine and look at the motherboard, unless it's really old, it'll have one of those lithium batteries that look like a quarter, a shiny quarter.
Yeah.
They pop out. I would just you go down to the drugstore, you can order it online. Just open it up and look at what it is, 2032, 2048, whatever the CR, and get that. And then just pop it out and turn off the machine first, obviously.
Right. Okay,
Pop
great.
it out. If you put it back in fast enough, it won't forget anything. And if it does, no big deal. You just reset the date.
Yeah, okay. Well, the time's good so far, but the only problem I'm really having, and the main question is, you know how on this on your desktop you see these round icons for like Google and this and that? They're all like green and yellow and red. And they're round, that's when you click on them, and that's how you get into your program.
Okay. Yeah, they're called shortcuts. Yeah.
Shortcuts, that's what it is. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, my shortcuts disappeared, and I've got a bunch of frozen tiles in place.
Oh, yay.
And it's a pain. I have to go to the taskbar and click on Google and then go to some other site. All my favorite sites are gone. Like, I see it flash on quickly when I sign on, and that's why I was wondering about.
Do you have is it a solid background behind those tiles?
Yes.
Okay. It went into tablet mode for some reason.
I
think this is an easy fix. If you click in the lower right-hand corner of your desktop, you'll see what'll pop up is this sidebar. And at the bottom of it, it's a control center with a bunch of buttons, and one of them says tablet mode. And if you click that, it'll turn off tablet mode.
Well, actually, it says Open Action Center when I click on it, right-click.
Action Center, that's what they call it, Action Center.
Oh, okay.
You open the Action Center, and there's...
It says Focus Assist or Don't Show App Icons. Is that the problem?
No, that's one of the tiles there. You don't see one that says tablet mode, huh?
No.
It may be collapsed, so if there's an expand button, see if that does it.
Well, when there's on Focus Assist, there's a right turn arrow, like.
Yeah, no, Focus Assist is just one of many tiles that lives there. I'm looking at mine, and I have 16 tiles.
Well,
but
hold on, I just found it.
There you go.
Yes, sir. There's a little blue icon that says Tablet Mode.
Yeah, tap that.
Okay, expand. It says above it.
Yeah, that's the expand collapse. So you had it collapsed, which gives you fewer tiles, but once you expand it, then you'll see the tablet mode. And
so I must have just hit it by mistake somewhere along
it's
the
easy.
line?
Well, and there's a lot of reasons it can go into tablet mode automatically. If you have a detachable keyboard, for instance, once you detach the keyboard, it'll do it automatically. But it's an easy thing to accidentally hit. So turn that off, and you should get back to the traditional desktop and the menu. Did it work?
Yes, sir.
Oh, man, we solved two problems with one stone.
Thank you, sir.
My pleasure, Patrick. Keep listening.
You the man.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Let's go to Ernest in Los Angeles. Hi, Ernest.
Hello, Leo.
Hello. What's up?
What is the deal with laptop batteries that you order from Amazon?
Be careful. And I'll tell you why. You almost always... So here's the problem is lithium-ion batteries are basically little bombs. And we learned this, didn't we, when the Galaxy... was it the Note 7? When that came out, or was it Note 6? And there were not a lot of them. A few dozen burst into flames. Anything, if you think about it, anything that stores energy has the potential to abruptly release that energy. A tank of gasoline's a little bomb too, isn't it? That's a lot of energy in there. If it gets punctured and ignited, bye-bye car. Well, a battery is the same thing. It's got a lot of energy stored in there. And it turns out lithium-ion batteries are very carefully sealed so that the chemicals cannot escape. But if they're exposed to oxygen, if you puncture the battery and they're exposed to oxygen, they will heat up, smoke, eventually burst into flame, eventually burst, spewing toxic chemicals and flaming material everywhere. Remember the hoverboards? Oh, that was fun. Those hoverboards are why you don't want to buy batteries from random sites on Amazon. The reason the hoverboards were bursting into flames is because they were improperly manufactured by Chinese companies that didn't pay a lot of attention to safety. A good lithium-ion battery has a lot of circuitry on it. One of the most important circuits is a circuit to prevent overcharge, because overcharging it, putting too much power into it, it's just like putting too much air into a balloon or too much water into a waterbed. Eventually, that battery will swell and explode. And that's what was happening to those hoverboards, is the circuitry to protect that lithium-ion batteries was either improper or never existed in the first place because they didn't care. They sold it. They didn't care what happened to it. And they were bursting into flame. They were exploding. I have a friend who had a hoverboard, one of those. Remember the kids had those a couple of years ago? I had a friend, actually our accountant, whose son had one. Thank goodness he wasn't in the room. It was charging $60,000 worth of fire damage later. Now, the hoverboards have been banned, but the key is when you go on Amazon, only about half of the stuff sold on Amazon is actually sold by Amazon. Most of that stuff is sold by third parties, sometimes fulfilled by Amazon, sometimes not. If you're buying third-party batteries, you got to be very careful because not all of them have the proper circuitry. They aren't completely safe necessarily. You'd think they were, but you can't test every battery that's coming into the country. That's why, by the way, now when you get anything that has lithium-ion batteries in it, there's a big warning label, not to be flown, must be trucked. There's battery. Careful, there's a bomb in here and some batteries. So, I mean, maybe we've gone a little bit overboard, but that's why, in general, if you're buying a laptop replacement, I know it's more expensive to buy one from the company that made it, but that's the best choice. There are some Chinese battery manufacturers I trust. Anker, A-N-K-E-R, they're good. Aukey, A-U-K-E-Y, they're good. If you're buying it from one of the kind of aggregators like Belkin, usually they're careful. Third-party weird name, don't do it. You're buying a bomb, or at least a potential bomb. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, our gizmo wizard, Dickie D, coming up next. I'm going to tell you about our sponsor right now. I don't have to tell you about it because you already know about it. If you've been listening to my programs for any length of time, you are absolutely by now completely familiar with the data protection platform for business. Do you know what I'm talking about? Can I hear a Carbonite? Of course you know Carbonite is the data protection platform for business. The best, the number one, partly because they can solve every data issue in your business. If you use a single provider for server backup, but then you're going to another one for endpoint protection, and then a third to protect your critical systems, that's not what you want. It's too complicated. You want, in the words of Steve Ballmer, one throat to choke. I prefer to say one number to call, but you get the idea. More and more companies are moving to a single vendor solution for data protection because this is too important to risk with a complicated hybrid system. You need Carbonite. Carbonite offers everything you need: scalable, secure server backup solutions, flexible deployment models, flexible recovery options, high availability, for instance, which means, if you're a business, downtime is revenue lost, right? If you're in a business where it's vital that you stay online, you stay working, they've got high availability backup, real-time replication, so your data is always replicated, and cloud failover, so even if the building blew up or fell into a sinkhole, your data's there, your cloud failover, you're running. You're still up and running. That's vital. Of course, backup and recovery for physical drives, but also virtual machines and servers and cloud-based environments. You know why I like that? You're never locked into a single cloud environment. If you want to move or hybridize, it's easy because Carbonite's got all the data. They support over 200 operating systems, applications, and platforms. There's nothing Carbonite doesn't work with. Of course, encryption, enterprise-grade encryption, which is important for endpoints because they're out there. That's not, your data isn't on premises anymore. Now it's out there in a laptop that salesman's driving around with, or a smartphone that your business person's driving around with. And if that stuff gets lost, that's terrible. You got to have encryption. They do something so smart. They do 256-bit encryption on everything, by the way, at rest, and this is really cool. Each data has its own encryption key, each data set. So even if one key somehow got broached, they wouldn't get, the bad guys would get a snippet. They wouldn't get it all. And that allows them to do true global deduplication. They have the patent on that. They do bandwidth management to minimize network disruption and keep your cell phone bills low. They have remote wipe capabilities if that phone or laptop is lost. Look, you want to do this. You combine Carbonite technologies to build for yourself a single, comprehensive, single vendor solution that match your workloads, your risk tolerance, your business objectives, your budget. Simplify your environment, eliminate gaps in your data protection, reduce costly redundancies. Carbonite, it's a secure, trusted provider with award-winning customer service 7 days a week. You got to know more. Don't trust your data to Joe's Data Protection Service. You got to go to Carbonite.com, my friends. Carbonite, Carbonite.com. I'm dancing. I don't know about you. It's time for the Giz Wiz, the Gizmo Wizard, Dick DeBartolo. He's been Mad Magazine's writer for many a moon, and now he brings his moon to our radio show. Stop that, Dick. He brings his gizmo-loving self to our radio show to share his favorite gadget of the week. Hello, Dickie D.
How you doing, pal?
I'm good.
Mr. Vegas, baby boy.
Mr. Vegas, baby. We had a great time. I love Las Vegas. I've come around because I used to hate it because it was always for work, right? It was for the CES or Comdex, one of the big computer trade shows, and it was always a nightmare. But once you go for fun, it's just fun.
It is, absolutely. It's the only city I know of where it's brighter at night than during the day.
Oh, man. It's kind of ugly during the day. But at night, man, the stars come out.
It comes to life. Yeah.
So give me a gizmo, Mr. Wizard.
Know, Leo, I saw this at CES, and I thought of your mom, okay? This is one of those gadgets.
I thought of your mom. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't mean
this is one of those gadgets that when you hear about it, you go, it's a crazy plan, but it just might work, okay?
What is it?
All right, so the company is called Wallabat, W-A-L-A-B-O-T, Wallabat, and they make 3D devices that look into walls. So before you hang a picture or drill a hole, you can see if there's pipes back there.
And you think
wires.
my mom would like it because it's a stud finder?
No. Well, that's the second part, possibly. Okay. But they have now said, we have used this technology to help old people who do not want a camera. The room in the house you do not want a camera, the bathroom.
Right.
So they have come up with this, it's called Wallabat Home, and it is to find when someone falls in the bathroom.
Oh, but it doesn't see them. It just thinks they're metal in the wall.
It just sees a big blob moving around. So
that's my bathroom.
There are no naughty bits that could be seen. And there are certain things. In other words, if there are two people in the bathroom, then it won't work because it can't figure out which one fell. And then if the person falls, the voice will say, I will now call your contact person unless you push a button in like the next minute.
Oh, this is great.
And
so
if
you don't have to, like the Apple Watch has a fall sensor, but you're not going to wear that in the shower.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what the guy said. He said the two advantages are that there's no camera There's no way no one's going to see any part of you. And the other thing is you don't have to be wearing anything.
So it's good for privacy, but at the same time, it's good for safety. I love this idea.
Yeah. Okay. Now, something else. This doesn't affect me at all. It only works in the bathroom 10 by 10 feet.
Oh.
Okay. In New York City, that's the living room. Okay. I actually measured my bathroom. My bathroom is 6 feet by 7 feet.
It's too small for the Wallabat?
Not too small. I think 10 by 10 is the biggest.
Okay. So smaller is okay. Okay.
Smaller is okay.
Okay.
I think it's a great idea. The one thing when I got home, when I read all the stuff he gave me, so it just calls one person. If you don't push the button, it calls one caregiver.
Okay.
But then it's $149, but then $5 a month. And I'm figuring, why is there a $5 fee?
Yeah, that's $60 a year. Yeah.
Because it only calls the one person, and then it also says the caregiver can push another button and talk directly to the people at Wallabat. But it's not a hospital, it's not a doctor.
Right.
So I'm not quite sure why the fee is there.
But it might be worth it if you're worried about a relative.
No, I think it's a good idea.
The Wallabat Home.
Home, it's called.
From the same people that find studs in your wall, this will find out if you fall.
If you fall and can't get up.
Wallabat. Yeah, it sounds like a Burma shave jingle, actually. We can't find studs in the wall, but we can find if you fall. Call Wallabat. Burma shave.
That's good.
It's not great. I'll work on it.
But it's Petaluma quality, not Broadway.
Not Broadway, not Mad Magazine, just Petaluma. GizWiz.biz, that is the very professional website Mr. Dick DeBartolo runs.
I wouldn't go that far.
If you click it's good. Okay, look, it may be not Petaluma quality, it's definitely Manhattan quality. Yeah. If you can make it there, what the heck is it? That's the game you can play after you go to the Giz Wiz Visits the Tech Guy to find out more about the Wallabat. And by the way, there's lots of links to other stuff he mentions on other shows because Dick gets around. You'll also find the What the Heck Is It a game, a chance to win an autographed copy of Mad Magazine. Wow. All you have to do is look at this. I think it's a prosthetic nose, but it could be anything.
Okay. That's not a bad guess. It's not a good guess.
I don't know what it is. It's
a medium guess.
It's a bud vase. I don't know what it is, but maybe you do. And the truth is, it doesn't matter because there's an autographed magazine for the right answer, but also for the wrong answer. Dick is an equal opportunity autographer. For rules and information, you have till the end of this month to play the game. Correct. What the heck is it? Thank you, Dickie D. Don't forget Dick's fabulous podcast at gizwiz.tv. And if you're watching our live stream at twit.tv/live, stay tuned because after the radio show, Dick takes over and does whatever he wants to do.
Wow.
He calls it the Giz Fizz in the afternoon.
Perfect.
You'll call it whatever you call it. Thank you, Dickie D.
Okay, buddy. See
Always
you next
a
week.
pleasure. Take care. I got a minute left. Mary's on the line from Burbank. Hello, Mary.
Hi, Leo.
Thanks for hanging on. What can I do for you?
Here. This will embarrass myself, but I forgot my pattern passcode on my Samsung 8, and I'm trying to save the text messages in there and the audio recordings. Everything else is backed up.
I've done that many times, but I don't know of any way to get around it.
That's what I'm afraid of.
Yeah. What I've always done is just reset the phone. Chat room, do you have any way to get around the pattern code on a Samsung? It's a Galaxy S8, you said?
Yes.
S8.
And I've actually looked in your on your website. There was something called iMobi, but apparently the phone has to be rooted previously.
Yeah, well, that's not going to be much good to you because you can't get into it to remove it. To remove it, I am looking at. Here's from AT&T. So I'm wondering if you bring it to the phone store, if they can do that for you. Maybe bring it to your carrier store, because it sounds like AT&T has a page on this. But I don't know of any way to do it. I'm sorry to say. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, TWIT, T-W-I-T. It stands for This Week in Tech, and you'll find it at twit.tv, including the podcasts for this show. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPads, iPhones, Apple Watches on iOS Today, security on Security Now. I mean, I can go on and on and on. And, of course, the big show every Sunday afternoon, This Week in Tech. You'll find it all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next week with another great Tech Guys show. Thanks for joining me. We'll see you next time. Yeah, you know, the best place to check for this kind of thing is these third-party stores that sell everybody. Because these guys are kind of cell phone gurus, Mary. They often have tools in the back that maybe the AT&T store doesn't have, but these guys have for maybe taking the data off of phones and stuff like that. So that might be worth checking. You know, if you have like a Parrot Mobile, places like that, you know what I'm talking about, Mary?
Yeah, like
they're not company stores, but they resell. And you just go into one and say, hey, can you help me with this? And if he says no, try another one. But it's been my experience, these guys have ways and ways. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Maybe they just don't advertise.
They don't want anyone to know. That's right. We know law enforcement can do it with devices from a company called Cellbrite. And my guess is these guys have a Cellbrite in the back. Okay. That's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
You want to, what I'm saying is you want a cell phone nerd.
Yep.
The problem, as somebody in the chat room is pointing out, is from the S8 and later, that's why I asked what model number, Samsung automatically encrypts that data. And it won't get unencrypted until it's unlocked. So that's the trick, is you've got to figure out a way to unlock the phone without the pattern. You don't have a finger. Did you ever put a fingerprint or anything else in it?
I did not.
Yeah.
And
yeah. My guess is because of the encryption, he's not going to be able to do that. But it's worth taking it in, because these guys, they're not hackers. They're right at the edge. You know what I'm saying?
The edge is good.
This is what you need. What you need is a tame hacker.
I like that. Okay.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mary. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Now, remember that those messages went through the carrier, so often the carrier has copies of the messages.
And that's a good idea. It's T-Mobile. I'll try that.
Yeah.
Everything else has been backed up through the Google account.
Most of the time, carriers will have. You'd probably have to jump through hoops to get it, but because it went through their SMS system, they usually have copies of it as well. Again, if you were law enforcement, you could get it.
Oh, I can maybe plead my case.
Yeah, plead your case. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.